Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we are here to learn, grow, heal, and maybe just all the same goddamn time, all right? Today we are talking about why teachers are leaving the profession at such an alarming rate, okay? For those who do not know, I am an elementary school math teacher. So I pretty much have the range to discuss these topics. If you don't know, we're in a period called the Great Resignation where people are just not going to work. They don't feel obligated to have to go to work when there are different things going on that can make them extra money. Not to mention the poor work environments, the toxic bosses, the poor pay. All of those different aspects kind of ratio themselves in to put workers at the point where they just don't feel the need to go to work, no matter how bad their situation is. People are saying my mental health matters more. So they're walking off jobs, they're starting businesses, they're doing YouTube full time, they're doing what they really want to do. And I always said that the pandemic really woke people up to that kind of, way of thinking because now people are just not hesitating anymore. They're like, we saw millions and millions of people die. It's just possible that I could be next. So I'm not going to waste the little amount of time that I have on this earth to work for somebody who I'm not happy going to work for every day. So, and if you did not know, teachers are in really, really high demand, more than they have ever been in history. I remember when I was going to elementary school, my mother was a teacher, right? And back then, we had such a surplus of teachers, specifically women and specifically English teachers. Even back then, if you were male and you knew math, or you were male, you knew math, and you were black, you were definitely at high demand. So think of the value of the black male teacher in today's society, right? And it's gotten so, I'm not going to say bad, but it's gotten to the point for the shortage of teachers that they are now not even asking that you have a bachelor's degree. They're asking that you have a high school diploma and just some college credits, which isn't bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just people feel that because the bar is dropping so low to qualify for a teacher, that could be a deficit for our children. But what people don't already realize is that our kids are already at a deficit. They are already in spaces where they're suffering. Our kids just got out of a school year that was behind a whole computer screen, or in either or hybrid or strictly virtual. So they've already lost so much time and lost so much effort. So it's nothing new that they're bringing in younger teachers. They're bringing in people who may not be as qualified as the veteran teachers who may have 2 degrees, or a master's degree, or even a PhD. I think now more than ever, our kids need teachers who, first off, are excited to come to work, are energized to come to work, and they are creative and they are visionary. And who not better to ask to do that job than people who are just getting started in this world, who have fresh new ideas and fresh new motives. So, I mean, I can see it being a good and bad thing. So, the first reason why I feel like teachers are leaving the profession at an alarming rate is the pay to work ratio. And I didn't see how bad it was until I got to around year 4, year 5 of teaching. I started in 2017, and I taught a couple different subjects, but primarily I've been at the elementary level, right? And I did not see how poor the pay was after about 3 years of working in the classroom, and I got no raise. And if you didn't know, I am through a program where you can finish your degree while teaching. So I was already feeling like I wasn't owed what I was being paid because I don't have a degree, I don't have a certification. So I already had this mindset that my voice matters less than anybody in this room. So that's how I felt. But as I grew with the times and I started to feel the changes and the weight of being in the classroom, I felt like the work that you do in here, on top of the work that admin asks you to do, on top of the work of creating relationships with your parents, with your kids, on top of the work on making sure that you are good emotionally and mentally before you walk in that door because you have 20, 30 kids to inspire and to teach every day, Monday through Friday. It's definitely a job. And when you think about all that you do daily, not weekly, not monthly as a teacher, you really realize the pennies that you are getting is nothing in comparison to the work that you are putting in every single day. And yes, you are to come to work and do that job because you love the kids and you love the profession, but god damn it, what you are sacrificing and what you are doing almost nonstop to suffice the work. And that also includes going back home and taking the work with you, not physically, but it's on your mind, it's on your heart, and you can't sleep because you are so stressed out and so worried about how this work is going to be completed, on top of teaching, on top of doing this, on top of hugging your kids in the morning, on top of getting your coffee so you don't be sleepy throughout the day, on top of getting your grades entered in, on top of having a certain amount of grades entered in by the end of the quarter, on top of so many other things. And I always tell myself that I have to put things on my phone because if I don't, I will forget it. It's just that much of a workload. And also, as a teacher, you're never without work. It's just you're stopping work for today. There's always something to do. And I guess that's what you get when you ask for a career. There are moments when I feel like it's just an infinite loop of doing the same goddamn thing, being the same level of exhaustion every single day, being the same level of stress every single day, because when they want it, they're not going to hesitate to hassle you to get it. And when I say they, I mean the people up top. So, and I also think another reason teachers are leaving at such a crazy rate is that kids nowadays are so difficult to teach. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my kids, love them to death, and they know that. However, I tell them all the time, I hate that when they get home from school, they spend hours and hours on TikTok. That's been a thing for me. That's been a conversation in my room since the beginning of this school year because I did some research on the algorithms on how TikTok works. And before that, our kids had a short attention span, but this is purposely and intentionally creating an attention span that is so low that I can barely hold my kids' attention. So while 3, 4 of my kids are understanding what I'm talking about, engaged in my lesson, 15 other kids are on their phones secretly because they sneak their phones in. They're looking at the wall and it's not anchor charts. They're just zoned out because I just can't keep their attention with just strict information. And then becomes the performativeness of it all. You come in, you feel like you have to be a performer to keep their attention. And let's just be real, you don't feel like doing that every single day. I don't have the momentum and the energy to put on a show for you because I can't keep your attention with just us discussing a lesson. You know, back when I was in school, um, I didn't have a choice, you know? I had to pay attention and understand the content that was being taught to me, or I just didn't do well. And the kids now just don't care enough. And that's part of the parents, fault because they don't put enough pressure and enough heat on them to want them to care. So when they come to us, they're like, why should we care? And we have to tell them that, if you don't want to be this and you don't want to be that, and if you don't want this to happen, that you need to pay attention and you need to try to be successful in school and own your education. But unless you're a 15-second TikTok video, they can't even hear your words, let alone comprehend them. So it's gotten really hard to teach my kids sometimes, to the point where I almost have to make every lesson interactive in order for the lesson to translate. And every lesson can't be interactive. Every lesson can't be a Marvel movie. Every lesson can't be, oh, jump on the ceiling and touch your head. Now count how many times you did that to get your answer. I need to be able to dim one of my lights, put on my projector, say, open your books, turn to page 18, and let's discuss. And let's have effective classroom discussion. Like I just said, all these things that, kids go home to are now creating that deficit in attention span where it's getting hard for us to even translate. So, number 3, the demands from admin are becoming so ridiculous nowadays. And I always say this: if you are an admin and you have not been in the classroom in that 2020 school year until now, you have no idea the mental exhaustion that we went through in the COVID-19 pandemic school year. That year, I realized that you me talking to myself, am going to look out for myself, and that's it. No matter how stressed out I am, no matter how many times I come to my team or my, leaders and say, I am exhausted. I'm going through this. I'm going through that. The response that I got and many of my coworkers receive, well, you're a teacher, so you should know what the deal is. You should know what to expect. This is part of the job. And our mental health never mattered. So that's when I said I'm not going to beat myself up if I want to take a day off. I'm not going to be upset at myself if I feel like today I'm just not going to be performative. I'm going to say what I have to say. If you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. Every day you are exerting yourself to kids, and you need to make them understand. You need to make them get it. You need to make them comprehend it. And every kid learns differently. So you can't just do one teaching style. Imagine going through all of those motions of just trying to translate your lesson and create a nice lesson, and then dealing with administration who cares nothing about that and is applying more work on top of more work on top of more work, and not only that, giving you a deadline to do it. And at first, when I used to get those demands, I would want to just hurry up and do it because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. um, but as I got further in the game, I'm just like, pish posh. Like, you're going to get it when I have it. And that's just going to be that. And if you come back around and ask for it and I don't have it, I still don't have it. New deadline, please. And that's just what it's going to be. I stopped caring, so much about getting their needs met, and mine weren't met. I never got just a check-in. I never, especially during that school year where we were teaching virtually. Yes, we were at home, and also I had leaders where they were like, "Oh, you're teaching from home, so there's no reason for you to be stressed out. You're not in the building." Pish posh. Have you ever tried to teach? No, let's back up. Have you ever tried to keep 15 to 20 kids engaged? It is an absolute nightmare. On top of that, you're dealing with tech difficulties. I swear, in the beginning of that school year, I held a class where I showed every parent and every kid how to log on, how to submit their work. The question never went away. No matter how long the school year went through, I always got kids and parents who did not know how to use this platform. No matter how many classes I did, no matter how many times I taught them how to do it, no matter how many one-on-ones I had with parents involved, where I showed them, you press this, you click this, and you do this, they were still confused. And then some parents got so frustrated they felt like I was pressing a button to eject their kids' work, and I was just playing the game. I'm like, no, you guys are not hitting the right buttons for me to even receive the goddamn work. So that continued on throughout the whole school year, and they knew what we were going through. We told them, and I'll never forget. We had a meeting, and our leaders allowed us to be as transparent as we wanted to be, and we finally had a chance to voice our concerns and tell them how we've been feeling. And again, their responses were, "Oh, you're teachers. It's part of the job. We have to do everything that we have to do. And if that means sacrificing what we have going on up here, then so be it." They didn't say that, but in so many words, they did by their actions. I felt like I was never cared about. I felt like the work that we were doing for these kids while learning a new platform, while dealing with frustrated parents who maybe have lost their job. On top of that, we got evaluated. They were still popping into our virtual classrooms to watch us teach a lesson, to give us feedback on a job we've never done before. So, yeah. The fourth reason, the mental health risks are just so crazy now. Um, I can only speak for myself. I just know ever since we've gone back in person, a new level of exhaustion has come upon me because I work about 30 minutes away from my home, right? So I drive there. I already have driver's anxiety, so I'm going through that there and back. So when I get there from driving 30, 40 minutes from my house, I'm bombarded with issues the moment I walk in the door. Sometimes I walk in, I still have coffee in my hand, I have a backpack on my back, coat still on, and people are talking to me in my face and asking me this question, I can't even get my stuff down before it goes boom. Right? So from the moment I walk in the door, from the moment I leave through that door, and even sometimes I can't even leave out the door. I never forget this. I was walking out to my car, and this coworker who I barely even spoke to walked up to me and started to just go in on one of my other. She just started to go in on one of our other coworkers and start down talking and trashing and talking about the issues she has with management and this, that, and the other. I don't mind a quick little vent, but do you think I really want to hear all this bullshit after I just got done teaching 30 kids? No, scratch that. After I just got done managing 30 kids. Because you're not only teaching, you're putting this kid here because he can't be in the population. You're dealing with this kid's behavior problems. You're dealing with this kid who can't read anything. So you have to make accommodations and modifications to everything that you do and say throughout the day for them to even understand or try to understand what's going on. You think I want to hear your conversation and your issues? I have issues too, sis. I don't want to hear how much your co-teacher partner is working your nerve. Mine is too. What now? What we gonna do about it? I just don't want to hear that. I'm just not really a fan of pointless talking, pointless conversations. I understand a venting session, but one that has to be arranged. We have to have a consensual. We're about to have a conversation. Don't just walk up to me as I'm walking to my car, ready to get the fuck in and go the fuck home, and start going, and then be long-winded too. So I had to pretend not to be rude. I had to pretend that my mom was calling, so I had to dip. So the mental health risks are, and then you feel like, because you're always bombarded with like data and, your kids have to be performing at this level. And if you're not having your kids perform at this level, you are an ineffective teacher. Boo you. So then you take that home with you. I'm ineffective. I'm not doing my best. I'm not a good teacher because of what numbers say. When really you are not in control of those numbers. You are only in control about what you do in that classroom, and the rest is really just up to them, to be honest. You can do all the accommodating and modifying you want to, and that helps. I'm not negating that. However, I am saying that I feel like teachers should not be held so accountable for these numbers and data and stuff like that. Let's talk about them, yes, and talk about some goals that we would like to see, but to call a teacher ineffective, especially when your whole ass has not been in my classroom not one time this school year, to even tell if I'm ineffective. And I don't know, sidetrack. I hate when I've been teaching all day, like up on my feet at the projector, going around to every single kid to help them. And the moment I sit down at my desk and pull out my phone, that's when admin walk in. That's just get on my nerve. I know it's uncontrollable, but it's just like they're waiting for me to just have some downtime to walk in. Up, he's not teaching. Up, he's not doing anything. Up, we caught you. Number 5, the parents. This generation of parents is so different. Now, each generation of parents are different in their own ways, good and bad in their own ways, but collectively, I've never dealt with a generation of parents where I had to, fight the kid and the parent. Parents, I had an issue with one kid in my room when I taught third grade one year. And when I tell you, this parent, when I would tell him every so often about their kid's behavior, they swore it was something that I was doing wrong. Okay? And it had got so bad that one day, when I was after school tutoring, he was being picked up by his parent, and the parent came to my face and said, "Why is my student's grade, this low, and I didn't know about it?" And I said, "Well, you answered your own question. You didn't know about it because you weren't looking to know about it. Why didn't you call me when his grade dropped? You're supposed to call me. You're his teacher. Why didn't you call me when his grade dropped?" Sir, if I called every parent every time their student's grade dropped, okay, I'm not doing that. I give you your username and password to log in to your platform to see your child's grades. You check your child's grades. Okay? I'm not I'm not there. I hold them accountable for the work that they do in my classroom and the homework that they do outside of my classroom, and that's it. I am not their educational advisor where I am making phone calls to parents every time, oh, little Johnny didn't turn this in. No, if you come and ask me about it, I'll check my records and we can talk about it. But I'm not going to call every single parent of 20 something, 30 something kids every time a grade drops. That's not my job, sir. So anyway, he gets in my face, like in my face, like talking to me like this, finger in my face, lips like, you know, pinched up, all at me. I looked at him and I said, oh, first off, the conversation is over. You will never get in my face and disrespect me after not only have I taught your kid all day, but he stayed after school 1 extra hour to receive tutoring from me. You will not disrespect me. I closed my door in his face and I told him to leave. And he did just very that. Because you will not disrespect me after all that I do for your child. You just won't. I will not tolerate any disrespect. Another parent tried me one time in the middle of the school. I'll never forget. It was like my first year teaching. My first year. And it was a kid I was subbing at the time. And it was a kid in my classroom. She was, saying real foul language, right? And it was after I had talked to her for so many times. So at that point, I wrote her up. And I wrote it, it wasn't like an actual like write up. It was like, I'm writing this up, sending it down because you need to get like some type of talking to by the culture specialist, that type of thing, not like a principal's office suspension type thing. Anyway, old girl got wrote up, and the parent, when she came to go pick her up in the school after dismissal, I got a phone call for me to come down to the office. And if you in my old school, the office was in front of the whole school. So I went down there. So you wrote up my child. I knew her energy was already off, so I was preparing myself just for whatever was about to happen. I said, yes, I did. And she said, I just feel as though why you writing her up? And she said that the other boy was doing something too to even make her say something. I said, okay, well, I heard this. Number one. Number two, he was taken care of. And number three, I'm not going to sit up and write him up and then not write her up. Because let's just be clear, they were both wrong. And that's just so immature to say, oh, it's just like saying it's just like a child saying to me, I wasn't the only one talking, but you were talking. You were part of that number. So I'm getting that ass too. So it was giving that, and not only that, her attitude and stank was so bad, and her voice escalated. So I knew she was trying to put on a show. I said, listen, I wrote her up. She got her consequence. That's the end of this. I'm not going back and forth about my decision to write someone up. And that's what she wanted me to do, was to retract that and I told her no. First off, why would I? When you coming at me, if you would have came at me with like, can we have a conversation, Mr. Walls? Let's go into a private space. Number one, you chose to make a scene, so I'm definitely not going to do as you asked me now. Even if we, it's a no. So yeah, the parents are a hot mess, right? 6. Schools now are doing the best for data and not what's best for kids. Schools now are doing the best for data and not the best for kids. Um, Here's my thing. I don't mind being a data driven school. I don't mind that. I prefer that actually, because the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie when we're talking about a student's proficiency and understanding. However, when you base your entire instruction around data and not what's actually best for the kids, yeah, the data says that little Susie is not doing well with geometry and math. However, if little Susie doesn't get a lesson unless it's broken to her, within a 2-3 day span, but you're telling me, oh yeah, for pacing purposes, we want you to do one lesson a day so you can be on module whatever by this month. That way we can report back to the curriculum that all of our teachers got through the curriculum and they taught all the content. Would you rather me get through all the content and they retain little to none of it? Or would you rather me spread it out and do what's best for them to make sure they are actually getting it? Yeah, I may not hit everything. I may not be able to hit every single topic in the curriculum book, but I can actually say that my kids understand what's being taught in my room, and I'm not just talking to them and they're listening ineffectively. So that's what I mean. Seven, the expectation to work over hours is ridiculous. And what they do is that they put that expectation without saying it. What they'll do is use a tactic called guilt tripping. Oh, this should be done. The expectation, the goal is for it to be done by Friday. Oh, but practice self-care. Oh, but go home and make sure that you're well rested. So when you come in, oh, but by the way, when you come in, you have 10 million things to do. Oh, by the way, you still have to teach. Oh, by the way, you can't put on a movie. It's just okay. Let's prioritize some things. Number one. Number two, I have learned that when the bell rings and school is out, whatever ain't done is gonna be right here when I come back tomorrow. I will never take work home ever again. I was sitting up trying to, prove to myself and others that, I'm just this, overachiever, responsible person. And I still am all of those very much things. But I'm not going to sit up and deteriorate and disrespect the little bit of time that I have to myself every day before I go to sleep and do it all over again tomorrow. Just not happening. I have a life and I'm going to live it just as I am teaching every day for 8 hours straight. Those hours belong to me, and I have learned to understand that and honor that. So, 8, messy work environments. Um, have you ever been in a situation where you're in a work environment and they're using words like, oh, we're a family, oh, we're this and oh, we're that, and that's cute. I'm not negating that. I'm not saying that, actual families cannot be made from a work environment. However, when we're calling each other family, but we're all around just, talking about each other and gossiping and making all of this catty mess for no reason at work, where we are here to do one job. And believe it or not, schools are some of the messiest work environments that I have ever worked in. I've worked in call centers, I've worked in offices as a receptionist, I've worked at grocery stores, I've worked at fast food restaurants, um, I've worked at doctor's offices, I've worked, in pretty different spaces. However, this space it can get so toxic. It can get so toxic. And, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm that teacher that kind of, am in the background. I don't, talk much. I don't bother nobody because I just don't want to get so involved where we're back calling each other family and, I will never give any coworkers my social media. That is why I am PJ Eugene on the internet and my real name in the real world because you ain't gotta meet him. He ain't for you. He's not. And then because you know what, I will get into that in number 10 because that's actually a good point. But anyway, number 9, toxic positivity. I kid you not, it's gonna always be that one lady in the whole entire school that, no matter how stressed out the teachers are, she's around the school. Awesome. Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. Let's get her done. Yeah, let's get you hyped up. Ma'am, it's 7:45 in the morning. Why? What are you drinking in the morning to have you like this every day? And whatever it is, I want it. Because I don't want to hear that. No, because they'll be in your face giving you all these hip hip parades and you're like, I'm barely here. Okay? And then it's always that one person in the staff meetings, oh, let's do an icebreaker. Why? We are not kids. We don't have to learn how to be social. Our social behaviors are kicked in and we're setting them if we are sitting in this room. So me doing an icebreaker, it's not going to make me want to talk to different people. It's going to actually piss me off even more. All right? And number 10, social media. Now, this one is very, very personal because I'm a younger teacher and I'm very active on social media, not because and also because I am a creator. I have the risk of students and admin looking at my content and saying that he's not a good look for our school. And I even saw some people online one time saying, if I saw my teacher online doing this and that and the other, then I would feel some kind of way. I would withdraw them from the school. And I just thought in my head, why? Because that teacher is having a life and they're living it. What do you think teachers do when they leave school? They, especially in these times, they spark up, pour up, they do what they have to do. And if on social media they don't match your behaviors, they're not a good teacher. On my first year of teaching, I got tried so hard by these middle school kids because they didn't like that I was gay and they didn't like that I had feminine tendencies, right? So I kid you not, one kid went back to the household and was like, "Oh yeah, he was twerking." I'm like, "Twerking what?" And he literally made up a whole lie, but the parents went and believed it. And it was this whole thing. And I'm just like, it didn't happen. But the parents just went along with it because they didn't want me there anyways. They didn't want me to teach their kid. That was just in the end all be all. And they, disguised it as I was being inappropriate and all those kinds of things to back themselves up. And I even got tried one time because, I make music videos. And they tried to say that, oh, you need to lock your profile or make your videos private or do what you have to do to make yourself, your social media self, not so apparent to the world. It ain't like I was just out here, popping, on the internet. No, I'm just making my music videos. And yes, I may put on some booty shorts. Yes, I may shake my ass a little bit. Yes, I may do that and the other. But it ain't like I'm out here popping it on OnlyFans. So relax. And yeah, I wrapped up. I just pretty much, all those different things that I named are just a surface level look at why a lot of teachers are leaving the profession. It's so much more that I can't even think of right now, let alone mention in this short YouTube video. So if you want to see more content, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like and comment on the video because that's how I'm going to get more recommendations and get my videos seen by others. And we're a growing small community here on the PJ Eugene YouTube channel. I hope you learned, grew, or healed, or all at the same time. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. Again, subscribe to PJ Eugene's YouTube channel. I will see you on the next video. Peace out. Bye.